we all have our go-to people who we trust, who we really, we trust with our lives as such. And we ask for advice on that. Who's the kind of people that you would go to for that kind of thing?
Yeah, so see, when I've obviously been growing up and obviously in the different jobs that I've done, and football is the main at the minute, I've always kept sort of my circle really small, and I felt that's been better for me for the way I sort of spread myself around and give like my qualities to other people and stuff. And I feel like the people that I trust is obviously your parents at the end of the day, who brought you up, who taught you the ropes and showed you how to be the person that I am today. And so to go back to them, I can be such open, conversations with those and discuss anything that I need. Now I'm obviously a grown up now, I'm an adult, I'm a dad, I'm a family man, so it's from being young, you pretty much listen to every word they say, and now it's a bit more like it's a dual feedback, and they're sort of understanding me now, what I do, and it's really good to get that sort of relationship with those. I've obviously got my wife Grace, who's been with me for 10 years now, and I found that being really grounding, having somebody that is not just a reference point, but she's been literally there since the very start. So things like having massive changes in my life, I've not really had that as such, and I felt that that's kept me in a good place in terms of structure and of my life and my work balance and things like that. And I've noticed sort of a more consistent me since that's been there for me. And obviously family comes and friends come and go in terms of your extended family, and especially like in times like the COVID stuff, where you're really limited to people that you can speak to, and it's long distance or it's over video and things like that, and you don't sort of get the same connection. That's obviously really tough, because then your actual your circle of people is really cut down then, and some people can feel so isolated because that sort of things just like touch and hug and those emotions that you want to get out in a different way, you can't do because you've got to abide by the regulations and stuff. So for me, that sort of time didn't affect me as such in terms of the way of, because my circle was small, I didn't really cut anybody out my life, because the ones who I was speaking to were always the ones that were there and were allowed to be with me anyway. So, and that was obviously my child, my wife, and obviously on the occasion I'd speak to my mum and dad. I mean, my dad's a big football fan, so he comes all the games, he follows me and my brother, and obviously we've got a massive football relationship in terms of like what we speak about. And then obviously now through my mum, it's more engagement in coming to help round with her grandkids and stuff like that. So I've got a real good sort of close, small family, but good connection. And I felt like in terms of that and my friends, I felt that's kept me in good stead, because sometimes there could be too many things going on. And if you're in a sort of a busy, active lifestyle, and you're trying to, get out there to everybody who's in your circle, it can take a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And I feel like obviously you need to look after you as a number one before you do anything.
So how did you prioritise that?
I think it just happened, and it was difficult at the time, because obviously when you're growing up and you've got your mates and your mates are into other things, and that, if you want to be, anywhere near at the top of your profession and your game, it might even be your role, you're going to have to take some decisions that, especially for us as athletes, my mates go out on nights out and do other things and go on holidays at different times, and it's a bit like, I can't come with you, I can't go out. I've got training in the morning, I've got to do this, and you sort of start to live a bit of a different lifestyle to those. And obviously if I could do it and bring all my mates with me into football, it'd be great. I've got some, great mates here that are long term, and obviously in football as well that we still speak to, but the mates that you have when you're growing up from school and stuff, you sort of part away because they go a different direction, and it's a shame because you want to take them with them, but at the same time, like I said to you, you've got to go your way. You've got to go and find out what's out there for you, and obviously if you sort of try and follow somebody it might not be the right direction you need to go in. So the breakaways and stuff are quite difficult, but for where I am now, I feel like I've made good decisions in sort of leaving groups and cliques that we used to have that were brilliant memories at the time, and sort of, like I say, put more focus now into having that solid foundation that I've got in terms of my wife, my kids, which that go-to, which, you know, when football's high, it's brilliant because obviously you share them good times and you feel great, you go home, your mood's, you know, brilliant. But sometimes, you know, we're in a bit of a moment at the minute where, you know, results aren't going our way. But you've also got that separation a little bit of, you know, going home to you. I have to go home to my wife, to my kids, and to obviously family members, and just having different conversations that aren't about football and work and where the pressures are, and it just sort of splits things off and gets me back to the balance, really, because sometimes you can be too far into something to realise what's happening, and it's sometimes good to be quite secondary and just take a little step back, and I feel I get that.
And you're able to do that. You're able to compartmentalise those things for you, and then reassess things, and then look at it from a different point of angle.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm so fully committed to what I want to do and be successful. Sometimes I will take football home with me. I'll take, you know, things that have happened in the day somewhere else, and that shouldn't happen. You know, there'll be a moment of reaction, and as a person, I need to, you know, the actions of others shouldn't sort of cause me to change my way of being, because, you know, that's them and I'm me. You know, something simple as, you know, you go out in the car, you get stuck in traffic, you know, there's an accident or something's happened, the knock-on effect and the stress levels and the rest of it, but, you know, it's something that can't be helped and stuff. So things happen that are sort of out of your control, that you can't be too sort of focused in and sort of sucked into, because that then will change my mood and my reaction, and I'll take that somewhere else. And really, that started, it wasn't with me. So it's more my perception of how things occur and sort of dealing with, you know, things. I used to, probably one of the big words is like accountability for me, of knowing what I'm responsible for and what I'm not, because some people maybe want to try and do too much more than what their maybe job role is, or, like I said, to try and give too much to lots of different people in the family. And really, you've got to focus on yourself as number one. Make time for yourself, make time for those that you're really close to, because I think in this day and age at the minute, people are putting, you know, too much pressures on themselves. And yeah, we all want to be successful and all want to deliver, but at the same time, it's probably not the best version of you. And I feel that sometimes is when, you know, you overlook things and sort of things start going a different way that you want it to, because you're trying to hone everything into one direction to make it right, when really, like I was saying, if you take a step back and sort of view things and live in the moment a little bit, things sort of manifest. So your thoughts are what you do. You see it a lot in some of the, you know, I see a lot of quotes, I see a lot of stuff on the social media side of things now, and you know, a lot of it relates, especially to the football. You know, all the positivity that we can get, we try and use, because, you know, we've just been on the back end of a couple of really poor results and a big change that's going around here, and it's, you know, it's that might be out of our hands, but it's our reaction now to make sure we're doing everything right to be able to change that and make it in our circumstance, and that's in any walk of life. You know, you've got two directions that you can go in, and I think as an individual, you can actually control that. And there are obviously new routes now, like you say, that people that you can come and speak to, that you get the right advice and the right sort of, that's the right questions, because a general question of, you know, is everything okay, is I don't think, you know, it's enough at the time. Because for me, if it was me, I'd be, yeah, I'm okay, I'm doing well. And
so you'd hide it?
Do you know, I wouldn't hide it as such, but that's me being, one of the things that was great here when I came here, we actually sat down with Simon Wilson and a few others, and I did sort of a questionnaire, which was a bit about me and my personality traits, and you know, how I sided. And I was a really optimistic person that sort of sees the positive in nearly all stuff. And it was kind of good, because at the minute, obviously, captain of the club, and, you know, help around in the dressing room and things. You know, we've been through quite a lot as a group of players in the last sort of couple of years, including the COVID stuff. We've had things that have gone on here that have, you know, gone on away from the pitch as well as on the pitch. And it is a roller coaster of football. It's a wave of up and downs, and I think that's when you do get things that change often. I think when you ride a wave that's high and it really drops low, that's when you sort of need to be out there looking for people to make sure, that, are you okay in dealing with what's just happened and stuff like that. And I feel like that optimism that I've found in myself from answering those questions really opened my eyes, because even though it was a set of questions on a paper, I was like, that's me. And I didn't answer the questions, I didn't overthink the questions. It was just literally a bit of a reaction, just a couple of seconds on each one. What do I think I am in this and this area? If this scenario came up, what would I do? And it was just basically, and it was just really good to get sort of a personality trait, because obviously people judge you on a daily basis. That's in any walk of life. Whether it's, you're judged on social media, or we're in an entertainment business where there's thousands of people that watch and have their own opinion, and that's great, that's fine. Fully entitled to that, and it's up to you as a person to be able to manage and control them situations. And just to see what I actually thought of myself was really interesting, because it was literally, I'm looking in the mirror and seeing what I was, and that's my go-to now. So if there's any time where I sort of feel like I'm coming off that, I go back to that place where, remember when I did that and I was optimistic about this, and if things aren't good on the pitch, or if just in general life things are getting on top, how did I, if I go back to how, when I was sort of, I'd say, cruising through the days where you feel like there's an easy day, people have tough days, what did I do that day that was different? And I just sort of go back to my stock stuff of what happened in those days. And like I said, it just repeats the process then to retrain the mind to be able to then see the positive things. And going back to that, do I hide it? It's not like I hide it, but I just try and turn that into a positive, to say, no, I am okay, this is what I'm going to do about it. There's an action plan in place. It's not like I'm okay, but I'm going to push it to the side. There'll be thoughts in my mind where, that training session didn't go well today, that match didn't go well today. What's the action plan that I've got? A few simple steps, and I'll go back to that, and then hopefully that gets me back, on the road to like how things sort of, when you on them days where you feel a bit autopilot, where things just go smoothly, and that's basically what helps me, is having sort of an area where I can go back to, just keep things simple, and sort of retrain my brain to think, I love the little thing of when I don't know if you've seen it, the clip of the people on the bus, and they're on the bus, and one side of the bus is sunshine and the other side of the bus, but you're still on that same journey, and it's how you perceive. And sometimes I'm not saying, look, it's going to be easy, and there are going to be days where there's pressures on you, whether it's time, finances, success. There's lots of things that can change, that will affect and trigger things that set you down different roads. But it's like going back to the things that you've done well, and sort of building from there. And it's not like you're going to flip a coin in a day. And I've got lads now that were really good mates when they were younger, and they've sort of struggled. It might be lads that have finished football and then not known what they were going into. It might be lads that have come to a bit of a standstill, like you say, and they feel like they've wasted a chance to continue and play a long career, and now they're doing something completely different. They've retrained into a different role, and they're around different groups of people now. And they just say, obviously, they're aware of how they feel day to day, and they know now the steps that they can take to control it. It's still there for them. They're able, obviously some days where they don't feel so good, or they feel like everything's getting on top of them. But going forward, they know they've got an action plan in place that they can sort of reach out, and it's speaking to people like yourself that will dig that out of somebody, because it might be that I'm one of those that you ask somebody you're okay, and that it gets pushed to the side. And I think, like you say, the right questions asked will get sort of the right answers and help that person or people. So,
social media can be your best friend, or your worst enemy.
Yeah, of course.
How do you deal with some of the stuff that's been said about maybe a personal situation that you have within social media? How do you go about dealing with that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really honest in this. I've had occasions this season, last season, where I've been questioned as an individual in my role in things that have happened on and off the pitch. And you know, I'm a human being at the end of the day, so will I get everything spot on? No. If I don't get things spot on, we say, hey, look, if you're not winning a game, you're learning. So if you're not coming out of an action well and it's not gone your way, it's a learning curve to be better on the next occasion. And obviously things will get said and people are passionate, there's fan base, there's a lot that, you know, that we want to get right in a short space of time, because, you know, that's what it is. We want things to happen right now. And we as players and as a group, we want to be able to deliver those things, and we're aware of what's, you know, sort of out there as, you know, an external pressure on the group. But internally, we put the same pressure on ourselves. We want to do well. And obviously you're going to get, I think it's great that we have social media, that we can have that interaction. And if somebody comes to me with a question, or, you know, it's directed in the right way, then, you know, fair enough, I'm going to answer that question, because I'm not somebody who just wants, like you say, to hide away. I want to be accountable, because I think it's important that we keep the club in this sort of sense, if I'm using my job as a thing, together, and I'm open. Because I think the more open you are, the more sort of trust you can build, and the more people can feel who you are and get a bond with you. And I think especially with us here, and with us not having the fans in the lockdown and things like that, it's been quite distant. We had some great times last year, and obviously when you get the great times, you also get the great comments, you get the great support, and we've had massive amounts of support as a group, as a team, as an individual. And I wish I could just get out to every single one that does that and literally reply back, because it does make a difference. You know, some people might message you and think, oh, that's not going to get anywhere, he's not going to see that. Obviously me personally, with my amount of followers, then, you know, I will, but, you know, for some of the other boys higher up, they might do it with their Premier League teams, you know. But even just to sort of give that message of support, or even if it's a constructive sort of criticism to ask, you know, what's happening, then that's fine. I think that's fine. There are some instances where, you know, messages get sent out that, you know, shouldn't be allowed. I think there's, especially when things like the England setup, you know, there's a lot of stuff that gets said now that's, you know, completely wrong. Shouldn't be out. You know, if you was in a different workplace, you wouldn't be able to say those things, because they can sort of hide behind a message that's, you know, those people probably wouldn't say that thing directly in public to that person to the face. And before they've even said it, they actually don't know what we are, don't know who we are, don't know what we're like. You know, we have, like they have, families, you know, people around us that will see those messages too. And, you know, certain instances of late with managers and with players, it's, you know, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair, you know, to be able to put that criticism and stuff in place. I think passions rise, and I think more than entitled to an opinion, but there's other ways that you can do it, because at the end of the day, whatever you say, you know, if that person sees it, it's going to have a positive or negative effect. And if it's, you know, a real insult, then you ain't going to positively change anything in that environment. You probably feel like you're getting something off your chest, that person that said it, and it might be in the spur of the moment. You know, you just don't know. And I just think, look, nothing would change with that kind of sort of negative behaviour. If you want to play a part, you know, ask the right questions, like, you know, constructively, or, you know, support where you need to support. And we've had that. I'm not saying, obviously, you know, as a group, we've definitely had that. But I just mean, yeah, there will be times where I've been questioned as a person, but I'd rather be open about things so long as it's directed in the right way. Because I want to share my experiences with other people. Because, I mean, I follow a great podcast that I listen to, and it's based around high performance. And they ask the athletes. They've also got, you know, business people that have started things from scratch. You know, they've gone really diverse with who they've asked, and the actual interviewees are really sort of diverse range. And it's not just, you know, selecting someone that's won everything and all the rest of it. And you can sort of relate some of the stuff they're talking to everyday life. And you are in competition in your life. You are. You know, somebody's going to always be doing better than you, and somebody's always going to be doing probably slightly less than you. But what you need to do is focus on you and not sort of worry, and that's what you get with social media now. A lot of comparison. You know, why not? Yeah, so-and-so's better at this or that, well, why not have both? There's always got to be a difference between something at the minute, and you know, it doesn't sit right with me as such, because if you look around our dressing room, you know, there'll be better footballers than others, but somebody else might have something that somebody else doesn't bring, and it might be an energy, it might be a voice, there's a quality in every single person. And obviously that's where, when I do this, obviously the trait stuff, I go back to thinking how did I find out about myself and what are my strengths? When things aren't going well, I go back to that and deliver that to the group. And it's not saying that, you know, I need to be better than you at this or you at that. I just need to bring what I bring to the table. And if everybody does that, then it lifts the group, it lifts the environment. And it's the same in any workplace. You've just got to be you. You've just got to concentrate on what's happening in and around you, affect what you can positively, and I think, yeah, be there for support, because at some point and at some time you will be in that position where things aren't flowing, things aren't smooth, and then like you say, you'll really realise then, you know, what sort of help and effect you can have on somebody by just, like you say, being a listener and just being a little bit of just a shoulder, really, that people might not have had within the lockdown because they've not been able to do that. And you know, one of the big things for us, we talk in the changing room, we talk at dinner. Things like coffee shops are back open again now, and barbers and hairdressers, and people get a lot of things off the chest in those places. You know, down at the pub and talk. And I think it really should just be an open environment, and nobody, you know, you shouldn't be judged because everybody's got different experiences.